Hello, hello. We're back again after a short break. I've been reading up on some Node and Express stuff, as well as some chai. I was trying to get the gist of how those tests were working, because I can't. Yeah, if you guys recall, the last stream that we had was rather interesting because not much was explained. So I took it upon myself to actually understand what was going on. And yeah, I feel much better for it. Now we're going to be moving on to some advanced Node and Express stuff, which we've already done in our actual practical project. So I'm curious to see how we're going to do. Are we going to struggle? Is it just going to make sense? Will we just know what's happening? Let's find out, shall we? So, authentication is the process or action of verifying the identity of a user or process. Up to this point, you have not been able to create an app utilizing this key concept. I mean, that's what you think. But we have. The most common and easiest to use authentication middleware for Node.js is Passport. It is easy to learn, lightweight, and extremely flexible, allowing for many strategies, which we will talk about in later challenges. In addition to authentication, we will also look at template engines, which allow for use of Pug and WebSockets, which allow for real-time communication between all your clients and your server. Working on these challenges will involve you writing your code on Glitch on our starter project. After completing each challenge, you can copy your public Glitch URL to the homepage of your app and to the challenge screen to test it. Optionally, you may choose to write your project on another platform, but it must be publicly visible for our testing. Start this project on Glitch using this link or clone this repository on GitHub. If you use Glitch, remember to save the link to your project somewhere safe. I want to see if Glitch will work now. We always had that issue where it just wouldn't import. And that's why we've been doing it locally. Well, I mean, we still would have done it locally, but it's a bit annoying. And then it stops working. Ah, that's so annoying. I don't know why it does that. If we do it manually, it's fine. But anyway, whatever. We're just gonna do it locally from the get-go. So, what's the first thing to do? We need to clone the starter project. So yeah, let's give this a download. We're gonna save this into one of our local projects. Advanced Node and Express. Let's go ahead and extract this here. I wonder if this is gonna all use the same project. I'm guessing it should. Can we have a look quickly? I'm assuming all of this will fall under one project. Should be, yeah. Cool, so we're not going to need this, we're not going to need that, so let's delete that, we're not going to need that, we're not going to need that. We are going to update things like we did last time. So let's add a folder quickly. We're not going to add a repository because we don't have one yet. We're going to change these things. We're going to install all of these things, but obviously the latest versions of them. I'm going to remove all these dependencies as well. And let's delete that. Oops, I didn't want to delete. And the author, we'll have that as ourselves. And the description will be part of, yeah, let's look at a previous one that we had. Do I not have one? There we go. And then we'll just have to look at, we're going to have everything in app. So let's create an app, and in app we'll put public and views inside of that. And this is going to be version 10. Okay, and let's open a console to this. And we want to install Express. We also want to install Course. We also want to install body parser. We also want to install apparently MongoDB. Nice. We also want to install Helmet. It's just no point using something that's 3 years old if we're gonna, running it into some issues and they've already been resolved or whatever. Okay, so that's all the dependencies. Then we also need the dev dependencies. Did I have it here? No, but I did have it as part of the other package. Yeah, there we go. So we're gonna add our dev dependencies after our dependencies. Actually, go ahead and let's do it somewhere here. And we need to make sure we update that and also copy our prettier and ESLint files. And then just do an npm install. And then we're just going to reload VS Code, make sure the changes take effect. I'm glad the process is becoming more streamlined and smoother compared to how we used to do it. So now it's just a matter of copying our dev dependencies, hitting npm install, and that's pretty much it. And copy our config files over. And then we have ESLint and Prettier set up exactly the same for each project. I missed the whole global approach, the way it used to happen, but something broke in one of the Prettier ESLint config files. So we're supposed to just do it locally. I mean, it's not a big train smash. It still works. Everything's good. There we go. So ESLint and Prettier is now set up. We have the same basic stuff that we need. I'm gonna delete the zip file now because I don't think we need that anymore. Only thing I'm gonna need now is the config file. And inside of that, we're gonna have to set things up for like MongoDB and stuff. But that will be fine. I just realized that we want this inside the app. There we go. And then what is the main thing? So app1 into server. No, we don't have server. Oh, we do have server. There it is. Stick server into there. So the current working directory is 1 back. Yeah, just 1 back, not 2 back. There we go, like that. I wonder why we had a 2 back before. It's just 1 back and then server. There it is. And we are gonna need a database connection, so let me go and connect that quickly. I think we're just gonna use the same one that we always use. Let me just double check. Free code camp, yes, that's the one. What users do we have? Yeah, because it's not a project, so I'm just going to use a free code camp user. Free code camp as the user, great. Password should still be fine. And then just make sure that we have a database collection for it. We have the exercise tracker. Let's create one. What are we gonna... I wonder what the requirement... It's probably gonna be for the chat app, most likely. I'm assuming it's gonna be something to do with the chat app. Because we need to name the database. I don't quite know the name that we'll use. Because before it's like exercise tracker, URL shortener. Let's wait until we get to that point. How about that? We can always start it afterwards. So let's get the app running first of all. Let's make sure everything's good inside the server file. Looks to be good. Oops, what did it change? Alright. Okay, that's good. And yeah, let us run it. I wonder if this is app server.js. Because this is the one that I keep getting confused on when I need to spawn these. No, it shouldn't be that. Why am I getting a duplicated app? Current working directory is app. Oh, I see. Okay, cool. There we go. Try that. I think that should be it. Yep, it's online. Are my logs in the right place? My logs are not in the right place. Not a problem. I just need to update these and these. Done, and that should theoretically be it, and then start it up again, and the log should be in the right place this time. Yep, there we go. And we should now be able to go to our usual no such file. Advanced Node and Express app views index.html does not exist. App views. Oh, there isn't an index.html. There isn't. Interesting. There actually isn't. But it didn't come with one either. Is that probably because we need a... Probably going to be something to do with the template. We're going to have to create one, aren't we? Before I continue, let me just make sure that it didn't actually come with one. Yeah, there's no index.html. We probably have to create it ourselves. Okay, so let's continue with the test. We're ready to go. A template engine enables you to use static template files, such as those written in Pug, in your app. At runtime, the template engine replaces variables in a template file with actual values which can be supplied by your server, and transforms the templates into a static HTML file that is then sent to the client. This approach makes it easier to design an HTML page and allows for displaying of variables on the page without needing to make an API call from the client. So basically what PHP was back then, template rendering. To set up Pug for use in your project, you will need to add it as a dependency first in your package.json, so Pug. Now tell Node Express to use the templating engine. You will have to tell your Express app to set Pug as the view engine. That's cute. Why do we have a Pug? Okay, so let's do npm install Pug. Okay, so we've installed Pug. Now that we have a Pug on our server, don't ask why, we need to require the view engine. Okay, so we have the body parser, we have both of those. We also need to set the view engine to Pug. We also need to require Pug, so... No, I think we'll be fine, we can just use that as it is. And I think I'm going to set before I use anything, so let us do... set the view engine to Pug. Yes, a Pug now powers our server. Exciting. Lastly, you should change your response to the request for the index route to res.render with the path to the views pug index.pug, which would explain why we couldn't render to the HTML file before. So if we look at our folder structure, we got views pug and then index.pug. So we're going to change views. Instead of index.html, it's going to be pug index.pug. And now the little pug file, just imagine the little pug going around barking, like, here's your index. Something like that. So if we reload this, oh, we actually get a stream type, check. We also, is it res.render? No, it's res.send file, so we need to render it. So res.render will render that pug file. So now if we view it, hey, look at that! We actually see something. Looks like this page is being rendered from Pug into HTML. Thanks, Pug! Let's go get ourselves a nice image of a pug quickly. There we go. I think we should just like stick this into our file. Yeah, I think we should do that. I think we should totally do that. So let's go download this pug. Let's go save it. We're gonna save it into app, public, images, whoops, pug. Just gonna call it pug. There we go. And then so we have app.use. Now where's our pug file? It's here, so we need to... Oh my god, it actually has a picture of a pug. I don't know if you guys can see that. Do you see that? This is literally a pug. This actual icon of a pug. So pug files are very different. They don't use like... This is interesting, you don't even use tags or anything. There's literally no tags. Let's use all the pugs. So let's do... Okay, if I've got this correct, it will probably end up being something like this. Where do we want it? So if it's there, we want it just before the text. So before the text, which is here, we're going to do image. If there's no opening tags, I assume it would be the same because it looks like everything is inside of parentheses. So image, source, it would be app, public, images, pug.jpg, and we're gonna set the alt equal to what do we name it, like the amazing pug. The hard-working, the rendering pug. Okay, so I think that should render an image. I haven't worked in pug files before, but it looks to be a similar concept. So if we reload now, okay, so we see the old text. So the image is not rendered, but we do see the old text. So just got to figure out why that is. App. Oh, because this needs to be public directly. I think it will hard code it and figure out where public is, won't it? There you go. There it is. Oh. Like, I'm curious to know how many people actually did it. Like, that's not part of the instructions, but I couldn't help but add a pug in. We're rendering with a pug file. Why the hell not? I need to save this for later. I have to save it. There we go. We'll post it later. Organism, hey, Glenn, Venya, how's it going, guys? I'm here for the pug files, please. Ben, 55, how's it going? On day 1, did you know how to code anything? I knew like the logic behind things, but no, I had no actual knowledge on how to code things at all. And yeah, day 1 was pretty much just covering basic CSS and HTML. I think around day 20 we moved to some JavaScript stuff, and yeah, from there it's just gotten more and more complex, learning something new each day. How are you? Yeah, I'm doing good. Weekend's been good. Been able to relax and enjoy, so unwind now. Figuring out how pug files work in Express, which is exciting. Basically, it's a templating engine. So if you've ever worked with variables and stuff that you heard on in PHP, similar concept. It's interesting because you don't have, it's really weird to look at it. You don't have semicolons to close statements. You don't have tags like you normally would in HTML. So it's weird, but it works. So to render an image, all we did was image set the source to our public file where we had the file. I was just assuming that would work, and besides the fact that it wasn't in app but just public directly, yeah, that worked. Good, tired of staring at code? Be making a project IE 11 compatible for the last 10 hours or so? Jeez, yeah, gotta stop support for IE. Here, you can look at a pug instead. Does it make you happy? Here's pictures of pugs. Does it make you feel better? It's not a pug. They try to trick us. This is like a corgi crossed with a pug. So cute! What's a pug? Here's a shirt. Wait, there was a t-shirt here? Oh, where's the shirt? I saw a shirt now. Can I see? No? Rip? No shirt. Oh, right, here it is. There it is. Oh my god. Look at the corgi bumps. And he has a limb. I love when they give you this like worried, weird, like what the fuck look. Pugs are so expressive. Are those socks for pugs? Oh my god. But anyway, yeah, let's move on. So, we've got our pug file rendering, and we've managed to render a pug into the pug file. Pug! Okay, so what's next? We've done this. So if everything went according to plan, you should refresh your app's homepage and see a small message saying you've successfully rendered from the pug file. Yeah, we went a step extra and also added an actual pug. Let's see if this will work now the course is enabled. Let's see, is it fine? Pug is a dependency. Oh, you want us to require it? Okay, no problem. In server, we can just require pug, like literally just like that, require pug. And let's see if that's good enough for them, or they're gonna want it in a variable. No? They want us to actually define pug as a variable? They didn't specify anything. That's weird. Pug is a dependency. Wait, it is in our package.json. Oh yeah, pug's there. It is a dependency. What's this thing's... Oh, unless I can't access it. Hold on, let's see what kind of test it's trying to do. Run the test. It tries to do a get, and it gets a 500 internal server error when it tries to go to API package.json. Let's see, what is it actually trying to do? No such file or directory for app. Oh, because package.json is not inside app, it's trying to look inside of it. Oh, it's annoying. Why do they have to hard code it? You see, guys, this is a perfect example. Don't hard code your variables. Because now that I moved the folder structure for it to look a bit neater and have everything inside of app, it's trying to find my package.json inside of that. So we have two options. I can either create a symbolic link to pass this test, which is kind of stupid, or I can move everything out of the app folder into the root directory, but then, yeah, we don't have this neat structure anymore. So we're going to move everything outside the app folder. That's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, they forced our hand in the matter. So let's kill the daemon quickly, kill the server, shut it down, bring everything out of the app folder. We're going to have to... edit the... Can I delete this, please? Let's go out one. Okay, delete the app folder, and then inside of config, we're gonna have to just edit this to reflect the changes. So we're no longer, the current working directory will then be the current directory, and the logs folder will just be the logs folder as is. And then the name of this is gonna be advanced node and express. Yeah, keep it simple. And then pm2 start. No, actually cd, so let's cd into config, cd config, and then pm2 start ecosystem. Cool. And then if all goes well, we should be able to reload our app and see our pugs again. Yay for pugs. Just make sure and reload. There we go, everything's fine. And do we pass the test now because it will find it in the root directory? Yes, we do. There we go. It's a good thing we know how to troubleshoot nowadays, huh? It almost works, but it's not the code that I was worried about, so it's all okay. But I got my core code base running on Chrome, Edge, IE11, and Firefox. That's good coverage, Glenn. So that's pretty good. Oh, devs say that IE11 is harder. The dev tools on IE11 are rubbish compared to Firefox. Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't even know why it's supported. Like, I know corporate environments want to run everything Microsoft so they can have everything configured by the management console, so you can lock things down. And things like group policies come into effect, because I don't think you can set up group policies without some tweaks for things like Firefox and IE, Chrome, because it's obviously not built in. But if you have group policies and domain administration and networks and stuff like that, then obviously they use IE specifically so that they can, lock things down and restrict them, so that you could just, make one change to your group policies and then push on thousands of machines. Because imagine you're doing it. Like, it's simple if you're a home user, you go and configure things here and there for one machine. But I used to work in a setup where we would have hundreds of machines, and you're not going to have a tech go and, go to each machine and make a change for each individual machine. It will just take you forever. You write a single group policy, everyone's on that domain, you just push the change, and everyone gets the same settings. So that's probably why they wouldn't use things like Chrome or Firefox. Well, we did actually have it set up, but it was just like such a mission back then. I'm sure things are much more simpler nowadays. But we have Edge now. Yeah, Edge is part of group policies now. You can manage it via group policy management. Okay, so one of the greatest features of using a template engine is being able to pass variables from the server to the template file before rendering it to HTML. So this is like back before we even had React server, like server-side rendering. This is pretty cool, because I remember that PHP could do template editing like eons back. In your Pug file, you're about to use a variable by referencing the variable name as #variable name, in line with other text on an element, or by using an equals side of the element without a space, such as p equal to variable name, which sets that p element's text to equal the variable. We strongly recommend looking at the syntax and structure of Pug here on their GitHub's README. Pug is all about using whitespace and tabs to show the nested elements and cutting down on the amount of code needed to make the site beautiful. Looking at our Pug file, index.pug, included in your project, we use the variables title and message. To pass those alone from our server, you will need to add an object as a second argument to your res.render with the variables and their value. For example, pass this object along, setting the variables for your index view, title, hello, message, please log in. It should look like res.render process.current working directory, views pug index, title. Okay, cool. So let's go and add this object to that. Now refresh your page. Okay, let me make the changes first. So we got res.render. And that's all part of res.render. Ah, so render takes those arguments in. That's cool. So then we should be able to have, we don't need to add index.pug, I think. It will just look for pug in general. So what are you complaining about? Is there no free code camp? Unable to resolve? Free code camp FCC testing. I'm sure that free code camp FCC testing, yeah, it exists. Wait, where is server right now? Server is there. Oh, that's weird. Anyway, that should be it. So if we reload the page, I didn't see a message. You guys see a message? Let's look at the pug file quickly. Views, pug, index. Login form. If show login, what's show login based on? Show login is based on... Oh no, but regardless, we have title here, right? There's title and there's message, and here is title, and there's message. So it should have the variables. Unless it doesn't like the fact that this is string literal. What browser am I using? I'm using Firefox. I think the latest version 69. Free code camp? You want me to escape the backslash? Why would I do that? You don't need to do that in Node. Which is strange. Let me just reload VS Code. I think when I moved everything out, I got confused. Yeah, it's fine now. I think it's just in the move. Remember we had it... Oh no, it's back again. Require FCC testing. You know what I think? Did they export it? How did they export this? It is a... They didn't oh, they did module.exports. Okay. So they exported as okay. So they do export it. That's weird. No, if it was dot dot, we would. Wait, why is this still an app? We're still an app. Are you seeing that? This never updated. Oh my god. We've been. No wonder the changes didn't take effect. We've been editing the wrong one. For some reason, this persisted. Let's just delete that. There you go. That would explain it. They should have seen that use case first. Cool, so that means we should find. There you go. Hello, please log in. Okay, it's not on the new line, but I mean, it's fine. We did what we needed to do, so let's see what they think of that. Cool. It's time to set a passport, so we can finally start allowing a user to register or log into an account. In addition to passport, we will use express session to handle sessions. Using this middleware saves the session ID as a cookie in the client and allows us to access the session data using that ID on the server. This way we keep personal account information out of the cookie used by the client to verify to our server they are authenticated, and just keep the key to access the data stored on the server. To set up passport for use in your project, you'll need to add it as a dependency first in your package. We've already, wait, have we done that? Passport, no, okay. npm install passport. Let that install. What else? We're going to need express session as well. You'll need to set up the session settings now and initialize passport. Be sure to first create the variables session and passport to require express session and passport respectively. To set up your Express app to use the session, we'll define just a few basic options. Be sure to add session secret to your env file and give it a random value. This is used to compute the hash to encrypt your cookie. Cool. Yeah, we've already done this, so we know how these things work, so that gives us a bit of an edge. npm install express session, and then I'm going to go into my env file so long. I am going to generate a secret. I'm just trying to figure out. We had a tool here, didn't I, that generated secrets for us. Did I save it? Secret, generate secret. We've searched Symfony 2. I think it was this. Yeah, there you go. Cool. So there's our secret basically. Cool. Done. Sorted. So I'm going to stick that into our env, our secret file. So now we have a secret. Okay. And we're going to have to use things like this. So we need to require passport and express session. So create the variable session and passport. Cool, let's do that. Where am I gonna do that? Before and after express. Before body parser? Yeah, that's fine. So const session equal to require express session, and then passport equal to require passport, and then we need to use them. I think we need to initialize first before we use. Or was it afterwards? No, we first need the... Yeah, first initialize session and then initialize passport. Okay, so there's app. So directly after app is defined with express, we're going to use app.use session. Secret is process.env.session secret. We're going to change that to secret because that's what I called mine. Resave true, save, okay, cool. And then we're gonna want app.use passport.initialize as well as app.use passport. Was it authenticate? It was initialize. It was session. Initialize and session. There we go. So now we have passport, we initialize it, and we have session as well, which sets the session, and we have session based on our secret key. So that in theory should be everything. So let's see if we're good. We got 4 errors. Good. Is it busy reloading? No? Let's look at what it's trying to do. 500 on all of them. Why? What's the issue? What are you trying to do? What's the response? No response. I wonder if because we're using a later version of Passport, we basically updated everything and they might not be taking into account that. Let's see how they're trying to test for this. So there's the API. They're trying to access package.json there. So all they're checking out is the headers, essentially. Are we still online? Oh, there we go, that's why. Secret option required for sessions. At session on line 2... Wait, that's express session. Where did this originate from? That's router, that's index, but not our index. Okay, so secret option, but we did give it, didn't we? Unless we messed that up somehow. Where we're requiring secret process. Did I call it secret? Let me just double check. It is, yeah, it is secret. Okay, let's do this. Log, I want to know. Let's see if there is a secret. Is there a secret? Process.env.secret. Let's see if there actually is a secret. There's our error log. Let me wipe that. There's our output log. Express session deprecated. Request.secret. Provide secret option. Ah, there we go. So because this test that they're doing is 3 years old, a lot has changed in that time. Request.secret. Provide secret option at server.js line 15. Line 15. But we did. Secret. Okay, let us kill the app quickly and start it up again. And we basically want to see, does it find a secret in process.env? Is there a secret? Yes, it is, and there it is. See there? There's our secret. So we have a secret key. Oh, weird. Okay, never mind, it's fine now. I'm probably just need to restart the server after all of that. The config needed to be redone. Let's see if it's working. Yeah, for most part. But obviously it's going to bitch and moan about the fact that we're not using the right key. It wants it to be called session secret. Again, hard-coded variable. We can't use secret. Fine, we'll call it session secret. Let me go and rename it. Oh, I just realized now why it wasn't seeing the secret, by the way, because the way that I have PM2 set up, the only time that I'll actually check the config file is when you stop it and start it fully. It doesn't read, because obviously the config file is how it generates the process to spawn. So that actually makes sense every time we change that. So cool. This should be good. We should be done. Once it comes back online, if the server comes back online, the server back online. It's giving this error again. Hold on. Session secret. And are we calling session secret? Let me just double check. Process.env.session secret. Oh, never mind. I'm logging session secret. I wasn't actually using session secret. There we go. Cool. Let's go. Done. And finished. Cool. Serialization of a user object. Serialization and deserialization are important concepts in regards to authentication. To serialize an object means to convert its contents into a small key, essentially that can then be deserialized into the original object. This is what allows us to know who's communicated with the server without having to send the authentication data like username and password at each request for a new page. To set this up properly, we need to have a serialized function and deserialized function. In Passport, we create these with passport.serializeUser, our function, and passport.deserializeUser, our function. The serialized user is called with two arguments, the full user object and a callback used by Passport. Returned in the callback should be a unique key to identify that user. The easiest one to use being the user's ID in the object, as it should be unique as it is generated by MongoDB. Similarly, deserialized user is called with that key and a callback function for Passport as well, but this time we have to take that key and return the user's full object to the callback. To make a query search for a Mongo ID, you have to create const object ID equal to require mongodb.object_id. Okay, that's like the super long old way. And then use it, you call new object ID the ID. Be sure to add MongoDB as a dependency. You can see this in the example below. Okay, so we're going to do this all in one file. So const, we should probably do it before express stuff. So const MongoDB equal to require MongoDB. There we go. So we have MongoDB set up now. Note, this deserialized user will throw an error until we set up the DB in the next step. So comment out the... Really? You could have just have us set up the database first? Why are we going to comment it out if we're just going to do it anyway? Okay, so comment out the whole block and just call done null null in the function deserialize user. Okay. I think we should split this into another file personally. I don't like having everything in one file. So let's create a services folder. New folder, services. And we're going to call this, what are we going to call this? Just call it like passport.js. And then we're going to have passport.serializeUser and passport.deserializeUser. Oh, but they're going to probably want us to do a few other things as well, won't they? Let's call it as soon as it's defined. So there we've defined passport. So straight after that we're going to do passport.serialize and then passport.deserialize, and they want us to just comment this out and in what? In deserialize user, just call done no no. So in deserialize user, just call done no no. We're going to comment that out and just call done no no. There we go. And that should be all. Great stuff. Implement the serialization of a passport user. Right now we're not loading an actual user's object since we haven't set up our database. This can be done many different ways, but for our project we will connect to the database once we start the server and keep a persistent connection for the full life cycle of the app. To do this, add MongoDB as a dependency and require it in your server. Mongo equal to require mongodb.mongo client. Okay. I'll just call it DB, but I guess we'll do it this way. So then there's literally no point for me having defined MongoDB then. Mongo equal to require mongodb.mongo client. There you go. You happy? And then we want to connect to our database and then start listening for requests. The purpose of this is to not allow requests before our database is connected, or if there is a database error. To accomplish this, you'll want to encompass your serialization and your app listener in the following. If error, database error, else successful database connection, serialization, and app listen. Cool. You can now uncomment and block in deserialize user and remove your done no no. Okay, so let's first get this blocked in. So before passport is set up, no, we can set up passport. That should be fine. But we want to have the serialization done over here, as well as the app listen. And we want to do that, and we want to remove done. And then we also, I mean, wouldn't you technically have the entire rendering as well? This is a mess that they have it, because what about the roots of if you logged in or not? Or they're saying that we need to have the deserialization, serialization, as well as the app listen. Without the app listen, the app's not even going to start. Oh, I guess that's how they take care of it. So if you don't even get database connection, you won't even see anything. Okay, cool. So we need to... There we go, app.listen. Mongo.connect, process.env.database. Ours is a bit different. Ours is called MongoDB URI. Hopefully they won't complain about that and allow us to just use that. If error, database error, successful database connection if there isn't. Is that all? They also have DB. DB is from that. Okay, cool. And we won't need that anymore. I think that should be it. Nothing else is outside of the block. Passport is self-contained. It doesn't need access to the database. This does. And this will connect to the database. If there's an error, throw that. Okay, cool. What do you need to do? Be sure to set database in your env file to your database connection string, for example. You could set up a free database on mlab. We've already got a database. The thing is, we don't have a database table. That's the only thing right now. What do we call it? Because yeah, we can connect to something. Let's just see if it connects first, and then we can name it afterwards. Okay, so let's reload the page. Everything loads fine. Successful database connection. Great stuff. Deprecation warning. Current URL string parser is deprecated. Current server discovery and monitoring engine is deprecated. Of course, because I mean, it's 3 years old. To solve this, use new URL parser to Mongo client.connect. And the other issue is to use unified topology to the Mongo client. Oh, they're both the same. Okay, let's see if we can solve that. I think you can do that by I'm not going to worry about that now. This is not an app that we're going to use anyway. It's literally just for the test. We know how to do this. We've done it before. So let's just get the test passing. There we go. Next thing we need to do is set up authentication strategies. A strategy is a way of authenticating a user. You can use a strategy for allowing users to authenticate based on locally saved information, if you have them register first, or from a variety of providers such as Google or GitHub. For this project, we'll be setting up a local strategy. To see a list of the hundreds of strategies, visit Passport's site here. Add Passport Local as a dependency and add it to your server as follows. Let's go and install that, npm install Passport Local, and then we're also gonna set it up. Now you'll have to tell Passport to use an instantiated local strategy object with a few settings defined. Make sure this, as well as everything from this point on, is encapsulated in the database connection, since it relies on it. It's actually a good point to keep in mind. And have that there. So this is defining the process to take when we try to authenticate someone locally. First it tries to find a user in our database with the username entered, then it checks for the passport to match. Then finally, if no errors have popped up that we checked for, like an incorrect password, then the user object is returned and they are authenticated. Many strategies are set up using different settings. Generally, it is easy to set up based on the README in the strategies repository though. A good example of this is a GitHub strategy, where we don't need to worry about a username or password because the user will be sent to GitHub's auth page to authenticate, and as long as they are logged in and agree, then GitHub returns their profile for us to use. In the next step, we'll set up how to actually call the authentication strategy to validate a user based on form data. Submit your page when you think you've got it right. Up to this point, I think we've got it pretty darn right. So after we've done this, we need to define Passport to use a local strategy, which we're doing here. Expected property shorthand, there we go. I don't know why they were doing that. Why would you set the key to username and the value from username? You could literally just do username, because if you omit the key from the variable, and if both are the same, so let's say the key is username and the variable is username, you don't need to go and specify, hey, I've got a key here and the value of it needs to be based on the variable username. You can literally just do username and it will find it. So yeah, that should be it. We should be good. Let's go. How to use Passport strategies. In the index.pug file supplied, there is actually a login form. It has previously been hidden because of the inline, the variable that we saw, with the form indented after it. Before, show login as a variable was never defined. It never rendered the code block containing the form. Go ahead and on the res.render for that page, add a new variable to the object show login true. When you refresh your page, you should see the form. This form is set up to post on login, so this is where we should set up to accept the post and authenticate the user. So go ahead and on the res.render for that page, add a new variable. Okay, so when we're rendering res.render, we already got some stuff in there, don't we? Res.render, title, message. Was it show login that it was called? I think it was show login, yeah. So we set show login to true. So now if we reload the page, we have a login form. Oh my god, yay! So cool, cool. That should be everything. Oh, that's not the only thing that we're supposed to do. Never mind. For this challenge, you should add the root login to accept a post request. To authenticate on this route, you need to add a middleware to do so before then sending a response. This is done by just passing another argument with the middleware before your function with your response. The middleware to use is passport.authenticate local. So you want me to do app.post thingy function request response and then passport.authenticate as the middleware, but then what are you going to have inside of it? Let's write it out first. Okay, rewrote that bit that did not work at Firefox, and how'd it go? It's working now? I really hate the way that they're doing this, by the way. Just hate it. So let's do app.post. We're gonna post to, what was it? Login, I think it was. And then we're gonna have the middleware. Was it the middleware? Passport.authenticate local. And then function request response. I think it needs to be like this and like that. There. So now we should be able to post to login. Okay, so we've done that, and also apparently we should add an argument to passport.authenticate, which is incredibly useful, so be sure to add that in as well. As a response after using the middleware, which will only be called if the authentication middleware parser, should be to redirect the user to profile, and that route should render the view profile pug. Phew, okay, so redirect the user to profile, not a problem. So res.render, or res.redirect, let's check first. Okay, so first passport.authenticate, can I add the option inside of here? Is that the option? Yes it is, cool, failure redirect to that. And then inside of this, if we authenticated successfully, we want to do res.redirect to, where was it? Profile, I think it was. Was it profile? Profile, yeah, profile. And then we want to render the profile pug. We're gonna have a little pug there that's just sitting waiting. Res.render views pug profile. That should be it. But what's the username and password? We don't even know. If the authentication was successful, the user object will be saved in request.user. Now at this point, if you enter a username and password in the form, it should redirect to the home page. And in the console of your server, you should see user username attempted to log in. Since we currently cannot log in a user who isn't registered. Oh, okay. So let's see what we've got currently. It should be in our console. Oh, nothing's gonna log here. It's a server, so it's gonna be in our Express page. Yeah, would you like to see it? Yeah, sure. Show me, Glenn. So let's just put in that mono there. 1, 2, 3. Log in. Okay. db.collection is not a function. Okay. Did we get anything though? Listening, listening, listening. Everything's fine. db.collection. db.collection. Where's db.collection? That was inside of here, wasn't it? Yeah, db.collection is not a function. What's db? db is the Mongo client. Did they change collection? Object ID is not defined. Shouldn't this be Mongo or like db.object_id? Because how can you do new object ID? That's like mongoose.object_id. I'm pretty sure you need to specify, because object ID doesn't exist. How did they mess that up? This should be mongo.object_id. I'm pretty sure it should be that. Because object ID is not, it's not native to JavaScript. You can't instantiate a new constructor unless we... No, can't be. We didn't require it without anything. But that's not going to solve our issue still. So let's see what happens when we try. Cannot get login. So what? Oh, that's app.post though, that's why. if you post to it. It's not a get, so obviously you're not going to be able to get it. The method is post. So let's just try to see what errors we get again. Let me clear the error logs and make sure that we're good. And then let's post. Okay. And then let's see what errors we got. db.collection is not a function on line 46. Let me look at your thing, Glenn. Oh, that's cool. It's like a little like retro pixel style. Almost reminds me of a game. Open text. Oh, that's cool. What's it supposed to be for? Like an old school wait, why is my thing so zoomed in? For like an old school type game? Game based. Oh, you need to verify your email if I want to see full page. But it's fine. I can just view it like this. Open button. Oh, that's so cool. The CSS is from Nest CSS. Oh, no wonder, yeah. I wrote the framework it's running on. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it really reminds me of like the Pokemon type games, huh? But I mean, the NES and everything else had that, like Nintendo had all of that proprietary, didn't they? That's so cool. What's the use of it for? That's so cool. Nice. It's a lot of things, huh? But the progress actually saves, so it doesn't like start over. How cool is that? Like I could close it, it still goes in the background. What are you doing? Are you formatting my C drive? Is that what's happening right now? I feel that React is too big, so I wrote my own smaller web framework. Yeah, it makes sense. What happened there? But yeah, that's really cool. Oh, look at the icons! There's the octet, right? The octet? GitHub's mascot? Line 1283, yeah? Is that where you're formatting my C drive? Oh, I see. Modular 1600. Really well done, dude. Impressive. I like the whole retro 8-bit feel. Nice, well done. And it works in Firefox. No issues. So it's like Material UI, but like NES UI. Essentially, right? Got all the things you can use in your project. How are you saving the state each time? Oh, are you using state? What are you using to manage that? Just like internal management? That's cool though. Well done. You can always add Redux, by the way, to your project. And then you can have an easy to use state management as well. Line 1281. Okay, your stateful data. Cool. That's cool. Now to figure out why db.collection is not a function, let's log what db is. Because things might have changed since they did all this. Log the db value. db. This should be the string, the database connection. That is what it should be. There it is. Yeah, so it's a Mongo client. So they're trying to do db.connection, was it? Wait, where'd it go? Wait, where the hell did it go? Where's db.connection now? Oh, there, right. So db.collection. But why would you do db.collection users? Collection doesn't exist. Users, they didn't even tell us to create a users like database collection or anything. Like they literally, because wow, they really didn't think this one through. So in theory, we should still be able to pass this test, even though I'm getting obviously internal server error, or actually maybe not. And then this is an oversight on there. Oh, we do, yeah. But in theory, you should fail. Like we get a server error because there is no such collection called users. They didn't tell us to create it. So whoever wrote this, it's really poorly structured. Because if you're trying this like we're doing now, you're just going to get an error. In fact, your entire thing will halt when you post. But anyway, hopefully they'll have us create the users collection at some point. Task was made for an older version of Mongo. No, it doesn't matter. The collection, so db.collections, what you're basically doing, you're looking for a collection, so like a database, what do you call it in SQL? It's not a table, is it? Yeah, it's a table. You're looking for a table called users. So collection is a table called users. So it's trying to connect to the database connection, which we have successfully set up. It's looking for a table called users, but it can't find users, like it doesn't exist. And nowhere did they specify, hey, you got to create a database with, you know, so-and-so collections and this and that. So, I mean, we could go and create it now, but I'm curious to see what they're going to actually do, if they're actually even going to implement local authentication or not. Because we just passed that test where we should have failed. Like, this is a fail for me. Like, you can't even post. They didn't even have something like a temporary, you know, like, this would have logged in if it weren't for this message. But yeah, let's see what's happening. As in, any user can just go to profile whether they're authenticated or not by typing it in the URL. Okay, so as is, if we go to profile, can we get there? No, you can't. Oh, but we don't have a get. Do you see what I mean? There's so many inconsistencies. Nowhere. So here, right? If you're successfully logged in, this was their requirements. If you're successfully logged in, thanks to passport.authenticate local, then you redirect to profile and you render the profile page, right? Now they're just saying, as is, you could just go to profile. No, you can't, because there is no get method for that. So like, how do you have this inconsistency? So no, you can't go to profile and get a profile. The only way to get to the profile is if you're logged in. Oh my god. This is a perfect example of when to create a middleware. We actually have a middleware. You literally told us just in the last step right here to create the middleware. To authenticate, argument, middleware. See? We did that. I think I'll have to pass on adding Redux. If you ever decide to use it, you're more than welcome to. Cool, yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. It's cool to implement. And yeah, Redux is nice because you're not locked into just things like React, you know? It's nice to have an easy to use store that you can pass on to wherever else you need to. But it's obviously, it's not essential. If you have it work here as you need to now. Do you have methods that are similar to dispatch? Would you be able to access the different states and stuff? Or would that be up to the end user? Would they have to basically manage that? Is that more or less how you set up a framework and then they're free to use whatever they want to use? The challenge here is creating the middleware function ensure authenticated, which will check if a user is authenticated by calling passport is authenticated on the request, which in turn checks the requested user to be defined. If it is, then next should be called. Otherwise, we could just respond to the request with the redirect to our homepage to log in. An implementation of this middleware is, I don't get why they're doing this. Like, as it stands right now, you can't get to profile if you're not logged in. In fact, you know what we can do? They must have forgotten at some point to say, hey, please create a app.get root for profile. They must have forgotten this. Like, it should have been done, but they just forgot. So app.get profile what are we gonna put in there? Well, let's do it how they've set up. So app.root profile .get, so for a get request response, and then we're gonna render the profile. So now it will allow us to go to profile. And this thing loads up again. Wait, did we send it? res.render process.current working directory views pug profile. Do we have that? Pug? Views pug profile. Yeah, we do. Having put hundreds of hours into this project, I feel bound to the core goal of it. Adding Redux violates that goal for me. Yeah, fair enough. I'm more than happy to work with the constraints I've gotten to know very well. It's really cool though. Yeah, so we shouldn't have these errors anymore. And we can stop logging the database connection. So there's our profile right now. So if we go to profile, we just, whoops, not PR, profile. There we go. There's our profile. So we can currently view it, which we shouldn't be able to view. That's what they were trying to explain, which they didn't have us do. So all we're going to do is add middleware to that. So app.root profile.get ensure authenticated, then we render. So app.root profile dot, whoops, we're just going to have it like this. No, stop doing that. Like that. So app.get ensure authenticated request response, and then ensure authenticated is a function that's gonna need this. Res.redirect to the home page if it's not, otherwise next. So what this will do is, this is a middleware, this needs to pass, which is why we pass next. If next is passed, then we'll continue and we'll render the page. If this doesn't pass, so the if doesn't pass, we're just going to redirect the home page again. So if we try to go to profile now and we're not authenticated, we go to the home page. Cool. So I think we got it right. A get request to profile correctly redirects to, since we're not, a get request to profile correctly redirects to the homepage since we're not authenticated. But I mean, that's what it does. Yes. Go to profile and you get redirected to the homepage. Unless they're being like super anal and you like literally need the /, which doesn't make sense. No, but we are redirecting. What the hell? Let's see what's going on with their the network request that they're sending. Okay, so where's the issue? You send a request there. That's the response. And then you get redirected back to the home page. There it is, right there. You got redirected. So unless it's cached, which wouldn't make sense, let me just do a hard reset. One example of those constraints is how the state objects are handled differently between functional components and class-based components. In functional components, state is not bound to the component level, but on the element level. In class-based components, state is bound on the component level. And you enjoyed the constraint? You worked through it at least. An attempt to go to the profile at this point should redirect to the home page, but that is literally what it's doing. You go to profile and you get redirected to the home page. Sometimes I don't get these things, like, who writes these tests? It's gonna be like one of those derp moments, isn't it? It's gonna be like, because that's literally what we're doing, right? A GET request to profile correctly redirects to the root. Profile redirects to the root. I'm gonna kill the server quickly. Let's just see if something is like caching. I don't know. Okay, server's back online. How about now? Nope. Okay, so the root is profile. We ensure authenticated. And if we're not authenticated because we're not, we return res.redirect. So we could do if not request.redirected just to make sure it actually takes us to the profile. Let's make sure that the logic is working the way it should. Yeah, so we go to the profile page. So it's nothing to do with the authenticated middleware. So this is doing as it should. It is redirecting to the home page. Let's test something. I'm gonna like redirect to about, which doesn't exist, so we should get like a 404. Let's go to profile and it takes us to about. There we go. So it is redirecting correctly. So there's something wrong with FreeCodeCamp's tests. It's the only thing. Like, it's doing everything that it should be doing. Middleware ensure authenticated should be implemented and on our profile route, which it is, but apparently we are not redirecting. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I'm typing in profile and I'm getting redirected to the home page, the root. Like, imagine it literally is checking for that /. Like, imagine. Do you want me to like literally put a double slash in there? Like, is that what you want? Because it's not going to render then. You're not going to be able to do that. And I can escape it. No? Okay. I don't know anything about security, but is it even safe for you to show your code for security? Empyrean? Me or Glenn? Who are you referring to? Me. Well, I mean, I don't know, like what kind of information anyone would have access to. You could see my code, and this is all part of the curriculum. And the things like the secret key we generated, which isn't going to do anything, and I could just change it off stream. The database connection you can't see because that's in the env file. So none of this is really going to help you. You can't do anything with this. And we're also testing locally, so no one has access to this. So no, security-wise, there isn't really any issue here at all. I wouldn't be streaming, you know, a client's project or something. This is all just for our studies, so. This is curious. I want to have a look at their tests. How are they checking this? App info. Is that all they have? Allowed origins matcher. Okay. API server.js. They request that. Data to string. I want to log what this is, but... Alrighty, I wasn't sure. Yeah, no worries. Okay, we're in a bit of a predicament here because we can't pass a test that we should be able to pass. Like there's tons of issues as you get further and further into this curriculum with these types of things, so I'm pretty sure someone's fixed it. It is 3 years old. So if we go to this and check their GitHub page, someone must have reported an issue. Here's a failing test. No, this is something else. Here we go, same issue as ours. Code does not work for MongoDB package 3.x, needs 2.x, or we'll get db.collection is not a function. No, that's not the issue. The collection doesn't exist. The user says looking for. Test number 2 does not pass, even though I'm pretty certain code redirects to. Yeah, same thing. What are people saying? Please take a look at this. What? We have course issues, probably for all challenges, because learn.freecodecamp.com is not included in the list of allowed domains. We should check all the projects that they have different strategies for handling course. Oh, so it's a course issue now? So you have to allow the new domain. Be aware that the redirection is tested searching for the text homepage, so you have to put it somewhere in the page. Probably the test or the description could be improved. Okay, so someone found a fix for it. Let's see what they were changing. Okay, that doesn't help us though. This was fixed in 2018 and they haven't pushed this update yet. So what do we know about what needs to pass? Specify that homepage is required in the description. Okay, there's still an issue. The only way to pass this challenge is to search the FCC or issue tracker for this hidden solution. Still broke it for me. I just put homepage in the index.pug description. Wait, really? That's literally all they did? Was in description, there needs to be a home page. Oh my god. Description. Do we even have a meta for description? Yeah, we do. A cool thing made with hyperdev. You are now viewing the home page. If this works, like, I'm not even gonna be upset. I'm just gonna. I don't even know how I'm gonna feel. Wow. Are you serious? We doing some advanced next level shit here, and you're telling me that the solution is to literally just add a bit of text to your description meta tag, which has nothing even to do with like coding? What an oversight. How do you manage that? How did anyone even pass in the first place? Like, wow. What? I have no words. Anyway, moving on. Now that we Now that we can ensure the user accessing the profile is authenticated, we can use the information contained in request.user on our page. Go ahead and pass the object containing the variable username equaling request.user.username into the render method of the profile view. Then go to your profile pug view and add the line h2.center welcome username, creating the h2 element with the class center and id welcome containing the text welcome and the username. Okay, first things first. So go ahead and pass the object containing the variable username equaling request.user into the render method of the profile view. Okay, so profile view into the okay, here. So you want us to then do wait, username, right? Username request.user.username. There you go. So now you have username. And then in the profile, wait, the profile, not the index, right? Where do you want this? Then go to your profile pug, yes. And add the line. Okay, so in our profile pug, where do you want it? Add your code below. And make sure it's indented at this level. There you go. Welcome username. That should be it. Okay. Also in the profile, add a link to logout. That route will host the logic to unauthenticated user, aref logout. You know, they still haven't given us a way to actually log in, so I don't know how we're even gonna see this. So like, I'm not even gonna be able to see if there's a logout button because, yeah. Also in the profile, add a link to logout. Okay, where do you want that? You just want it directly under here. How about that? Is that good? I think it's good. Submit when you think you're good. I think I'm good. Can we like just log a user in first? Why are we covering how to log a user out? We're not even logged in. Like, we can't even log in. Oh my god. Creating the logout logic is easy. The root should just unauthenticate the user and redirect to the home page instead of rendering any view. In Passport, unauthenticating a user is as easy as just calling request.logout before redirecting. So app.root.logout, request.logout, then res.redirect. You may have noticed we're also not handling missing pages, 404. The common way to handle this in Node is with the following middleware. Go ahead and add this in after all your other routes. Cool. So we are gonna have a login, and then after the login we're also gonna have a log out, and then we're gonna have the 404 middleware after all our other routes. That will look like this. So now, oops, I closed the test. There you go. So now if we try to go to something that doesn't exist, you just get a not found. It's a bit better than the previous message. There we go. Yay! Registration of new users. Oh, we're actually gonna like register for real now? Now we need to allow a new user on our site to register an account. On the res.render for the home page, add a new variable to the object passed along. Show registration true. When you refresh your page, you should see the registration form that was already created in your index.pug file. The form is set up to post and register, so this is where you should set up to accept the post and create the user object in the database. Is that even going to happen? Are we actually even going to do that? At the rate this is going. Show registration, we want that to be true, right? If we reload a registration form. The logic of the registration route should be as follows. Register the new user, authenticate the new user, redirect to profile. The logic of step 1, registering the new user, should be as follows. Query database with the find1 command. If user is returned, then it exists, and redirect back to home. Or, if user is undefined and no error occurs, then insert 1 into the database with the username and password. As long as no error occurs, then call next to go to step 2, authenticating the new user, which we've already written the logic for in our post login route. Okay. Login, log out. Let's have it register. Let's actually have the register route be before the login and logout routes. Okay, so we need DB. DB is not even defined. How did they even do this? How did they? Okay, never mind. I know what they were doing here. I know what they were doing, because DB is inside of this. DB is inside of our connect. But why would you have a root inside of there? I guess because it's using a database. Yeah, okay. This is such a mess. So after passport's defined, we're going to have app.root register. Now we have access to DB, db.collection users. You're not going to find users. Find one username request body.username. If error, next error, else res.redirect. Then db.collection users.insert one. Username request body.username, password request body.password. Okay, so essentially it's going to look for collection. Let's look at collection. Mongoose collection. I just want to confirm, because this was like in an old version of Mongoose. It's changed since. Yeah, there's collection. So what I'm gonna do is create a. I'm just gonna create a database literally called free code camp db, because they haven't given us a name for a project or anything. And then the collection is going to be called users, because that's what it's trying to access. So now it should actually be able to access it. There we go. So we have a free code camp database. It's got users. Let me just go ahead and change the string so that it connects to it. So free code camp db. There we go. And then let us kill the server. And then let us make sure we clear these and start it back up again. And make sure it still connects, because we changed the database that it's connecting to. Okay, those are just deprecation warnings. That's not an error. It connected to database. Great. So when we try to register now, let's actually just look at the code and make sure it's fine. So if it doesn't find a user in the database, it's gonna set the username to the request.body.username and the password to the password. So it's basically all going to be in plain text. Super secure, super safe. It's amazing. Like, even though they taught us about bcrypt, we're saving everything plain text. Why not? So dead mono, I'm just going to make my password 123. Why not? Okay, and then we got redirected to a... We got redirected. Does register not on a post request? Did it even? Okay. We didn't get an error at least. That's a good thing, right? Let's see if it actually created the user. No, it didn't. Okay, so it didn't create the user. But this is very interesting because let's just go back. We're gonna post. Okay, so it posted to a 404. That's what the issue was. So it got a 404 posting to register. Why? Only thing I can think of is let me just uncomment this. Okay, we're gonna have to update collection to find one. And create a model. But my more pressing concern is why does this redirect to a 404? Posting to register is a 404. That literally doesn't make sense because that means only one time Mongo.connect will get called. Oh my god, no wonder. This is such a mess. We're probably gonna have to downgrade MongoDB. This is gonna be fun now. When was collection deprecated completely? It wasn't a model. I think it was a query that had query.prototype.collection. Was it a query or was it a document? No, that's the entire document. Then you had connection. There's collection. Retrieves a collection, creating if it not cached. Just talk to your collection through your model. Exactly, but we're not using a model. Connection.prototype.collection. So apparently we can downgrade, which will fix the problem, but that's just, it's weird. So apparently we just have to reference the collection to access it. Okay, so apparently all we need to do is where it says DB, we just change that because it's changed. So what we do is const fccdb equal to database dot db. I think it was db? Oh no, it was db, right? So db was it db? db is the Mongo client database name, yes. So db.db, and then the database name is a string, which I think is free code camp db. That's what we named it. So that's our collection name, and then we should be accessing that directly. So wherever it says db.collection, we just do fccdb, because that changed from version 3 of MongoDB. So apparently that should solve the one issue. Let's go and actually test and see. That should also mean that we can log in with incorrect details and not get an error, which happened, yeah. And then we should get a message which will say user Detmano attempted to log in. There we go. So we solved that like issue. Great. Now the only thing is, can we post? That's the only thing that's left, that 404 that we're getting. And that is because it's in the last. I wonder if they want us to have all the roots inside of this block function. So let's just try that quickly. Wait, what's this inside of? That's inside of the... Oh, we need that inside of that. Where's the else? The else is here, so we need it inside of there. Okay, let's try that. There we go. And then mongo.objectID is not a constructor. So that's another issue that they introduced. They had it before as object ID. So let's remove object ID and just try that. There we go. Okay. That worked and redirected to the home page. Now let's see if I actually created that user in a database. We actually did. There we go. The password's in plain text. Oh my god. Yeah, I'll show you guys. This is what the database looks like currently. There you go. You can see that. Username, Detmano, password 123. So if someone gets access to that database, like they don't even have to decrypt anything. It's just, oh, sweet, thanks. I don't know why they didn't incorporate bcrypt into this. But anyway, that's done. So that means that we should be able to log in now. If I go Detmano and 123, okay, we'll get some other error. Object ID is not defined in deserialized user. Wow. So deserialize, find one, ID, So why are they doing new object ID? Why can't they just find one ID with the given ID? Or do they have to make a... Oh, okay, hold on. Can we do Mongo from this? Mongo.objectID? I'm curious. Deadmano123. No, it's not a constructor. Let's look at what the ID is quickly. Log the ID. I just want to see if it's the same thing. The ID is that, and I just want to compare that to the ID I have in the database. I want to see if they created... It's literally identical. It's literally identical. So that means that we could just do this. Find one ID and just give it the ID. Don't create an object ID from it. It's unnecessary. Just give the ID as the ID. Let's try that. Deadmano123, and there you go. So that should have authenticated us now. So if we go to profile, still redirects though. But yeah, anyway, that should have been what they wanted. Let's see. Login should work if previous test was done successfully and redirects successfully to your profile. Check your work and clear your database. I should be able to register and redirect me to my profile. Clear your database if this test fails, each time until it's right. Why would that change anything? Clearing your database would do nothing. Let's just check our redirect quickly. Something is happening there. So deserialize. It finds a user. Oh, let's check what it's actually finding. The data doc. Let's see what it would send if you logged in. Oops, that's not an actual user. So if this was a thing, it would have tried to send null. Oh. I see what it's doing. Okay. Okay, why can't we just find by the username, I wonder? Why are we doing object ID? So here, where we're doing find one. This is what we need. I had this issue before. Object ID equal to require mongoose dot types dot object ID. So now we have object ID, and then in the passport.deserialize, we need to find ID as new object ID, and then the ID that gets passed in. Okay, let's try that out. Okay, I'm getting... Wait, was the server down? Server? Where you at? Server's down. Why is the server down? There's some error. Hold on. Why are you down? Cannot find module mongoose. What do you mean you cannot find the module? Oh! Did we never install mongoose? Oh my god! No wonder things were so complicated. We are literally... Mongoose isn't even installed. They don't use Mongoose. They use MongoDB directly. Okay, so we need to figure out how to do this for Mongo. Mongo's a bit different. So it's just object ID. So to access it, we need to because object ID is not specified. It's not defined, so how's it gonna know? Find one, object ID. Let me just see what happens now. Yeah, object ID is not defined. So I think it's the same as Mongoose, except instead of Mongoose, we require it from MongoDB. And not from types. Actually, no. Object ID equal to require MongoDB dot object ID. That should be it. And then we have object ID. So then when we try to create a new object ID, why weren't these things like added? How do you skip the most important parts? They literally define object ID, but wow. Okay. Finally! Okay, good. There's the data. Cool. Great. Good stuff. Now we just have to figure out why it's blank. Welcome blank. There's a logout button at least. Why? Why is it blank? Why is it blank? Why is it blank? In profile, we said user name. So all we need to figure out is when we're passing in login, where's username? Profile. Request.user.username. Let us log here. Log. Request user. Request.user. That should tell us who the user is. Request user. There it is. Username deadmono. So request.user.username should give us deadmono. The user request.user.username. This keyboard. Okay, go. Deadmono 1, 2, 3. Don't save. What happened now? Server just restart? There you go. Okay, so the cannot set headers after they are sent. Okay, so something was trying to set the headers. That's important. The user was where is it? The user is deadmono. Okay, perfect. Then on line was render. Something was trying to set. Okay, the engine cannot set headers after they are sent to the client. Okay, but we have the username at least, so it's correct. So request.user.username will give you username. So username is request.user.username. Okay, so that line is correct. I think it's because we're redirecting before we're rendering. I think we need to render first and then redirect. Well, you know what I just realized? Why are we even rendering it? We should have a GET request. We should just redirect to profile. app.root profile res.render views pug profile. Exactly. And give it username as an object. Like this. Done. And then we just remove this and we just redirect to profile, and when you try to get to profile, it shows you a profile page. Success! That's me. And does logout work? Yes, it does. And if we try to go to profile, there we go. Everything's done. Complete the test. Registering should work. Registering does work. What are you trying to register with? Let's see what it's trying to register as. It's trying to post to register. What's it trying to post with? Wait, what's it trying to post with? Oh, free code cam tester, that's why. That's why they said clear the database. So they created a user. So let us delete the user that they created. That's silly, the way they have this set up. If it exists, yeah, but yeah, okay, no, it's fine. I guess you could cheat the system by just creating a registered user. Okay, this should pass. Now login doesn't work? What? Login should work if previous test was done successfully and redirect successfully to the profile. Check your work and clear your DB. Why? Okay, now apparently it's not redirecting. Oh my god. Like the way they test versus the way a user logs in is just completely different. Okay, let's do it again. This time let's check exactly each step. So, okay, each time it redirects. I think I know what the issue was. We weren't doing that before. On login, on successful login, on register, so you find a user. If you don't find a user, add the user with the username and password. And if there's an error, redirect there. Else, next, no user. It's supposed to redirect to profile, I'm pretty sure. And then passport.authenticate local. Failure redirect to the home page. Rest at redirect profile. So there's some kind of failure here. Okay, so this is the last thing we need to do. Let me delete this test and let's just make sure that we get into the section that we actually want to get into. Okay, so it got to the got here part, great. And there we can see the data. We see what the username, we see what the password is. So, and there were no errors. So that means it does get here, but it's not redirecting. Res.redirect, profile. It doesn't redirect to the profile, which it should. Do we have an app? Oh, you know what? We had the same issue with the 404. What should be this? What should be this? Let me put all the freaking roots into that. What should be this? I think it's because of the asynchronous calls. I think it's that. Because remember with the 404 page, we would get a 404 for a post while it was inside of there. Let's try this quickly. Oh damn, now we get a 404 for every freaking... Oh, okay, I know why. This is only if you were successful. Okay, so the redirect happens here. Res.redirect profile. The problem with that is it doesn't take you anywhere. We know it gets here, because else we wouldn't get the got here. The redirect is to profile. Okay, so let's manually try this. If we have like Meeches, 123, login, where does it take you? There you go, user Meeches. Oh no, we're trying to log in, never mind. Meeches 123 in registration. There! Freaking takes you to the profile. It actually works. Good. And then log out, which works too. Okay, so there's literally no reason why this would fail right now. And go. Login should work if previous test was done successfully and redirect successfully to the profile. Check your work and clear your DB. Check your freaking tests and stop bullshitting us. Because we just tested it now. Are you saying the login doesn't work? Oh, I just deleted. No, I didn't delete Meeches. So, you say the login doesn't work. Meeches, 123, login. Works fine. Oh, this pug is not impressed. So now we get the registration working, but now the login... Login should work if previous test was done successfully. What previous test? And redirect successfully to the profile. There's literally nothing wrong in the console. Man, I'm so tired with these. I'm sick and tired of like doing the work correctly and then finding out. Like the previous issue that we had was the fact that they were looking for a string that didn't exist. Literally just this. Home page that needed to be inside of the meta name. That is how they were testing. I'm so tired of these things. Okay, so where is ensure authenticated being called? Is there only one place? Do we only use it for profile? App.get profile? Seems like it, because if that's the case, then I could stick you here. Well, I could technically have it before the connect even, can't I? Now you should be happy, right? Yeah. Okay, let's make sure there's no user in the database. One last time. Come on, you can do this. I bet you if we search now on GitHub, someone's gonna complain about this. I bet you someone's gonna complain. I'm facing exactly the same issue. To pass this test, I need to change index.html title for home profile. Before that, clear the database. Wait, what? I needed to change the index.html title for home profile. Also change the title for the profile page for profile home. Change the title for the profile page. What? Is this again the way they're testing this? Is the description? Home profile. Profile. Which one is it? Home profile. By the way, I've been checking your code and I can tell you're gonna have to refactor. Thanks. You actually need to change your profile pug page title to profile page. What? You need to change your profile pug page title. Are you serious? So you want the page title, this, to be profile page. Is that what you're saying? And then I'm gonna pass the test. Please don't tell me it's that. Please don't tell me it's something so... Yeah, thankfully it's not that. Because the last time it was something so dumb. Add this in views pug index homepage. Add this in views pug profile. H1 border center profile home. You need to add that? Oh, were they talking about this? I think they were talking about this. No, that doesn't change anything. Meeches 1, 2, 3, login, profile home. So it's not that. Drop all users in your database. Run the test twice. Why would you run it? It wouldn't work if you run it twice. Look at these workarounds people are doing because of the inability to test this properly. I gave the profile router 1 in 3 chance to redirect to home. Oh my god. It passes all tests about 1 in 3 tries. This just shows you how bad the state of these tests are. That people have to come up with these... Wow. So they changed session first and then passport, but that's what we're doing. I knew that from the start because that's what we did for our stuff. We have session first and then initialize. So that won't help. We've already done that. This is what I did to pass the exercise. Changed my h1 tag in index.pug and profile to homepage and profile home. Oh, this needs to be homepage as well? Really? Homepage? That needs to be homepage? And that needs to be homepage and profile home. Man, I feel sorry for all these people. Like, you're here to do the work, you do the work, and now you're sitting around trying to get the testing to work. When it, like, it physically works. You can register a user, it redirects, like everything that they've asked you to do works. But obviously, the way that they're testing, no, that doesn't work for us. The quality of the early curriculum is great, then it just falls off a cliff. Yep, that's exactly what I keep saying. I was able to get the tests to pass by adding FreeCodeCamp tester to the H1 titles. You can see from the test that MOTO1 linked to that test is looking for a match of FreeCodeCamp tester in the data passed to the tests. Okay, so they just added FreeCodeCamp test to the H1 titles of both the index and profile. This is bad if we have to do it this way. I'm just saying. Okay, go have fun. No. swear, these things. I was able to get the test by adding freecode camp tester. That's what we've done to the H1 titles on line 11 in both index and profile. And that's what we've done, line 11. Freecode camp tester and freecode camp tester. So that doesn't change anything for us. To get the login and registration test to pass, I actually had to get rid of the profile redirections and just load the profile pug directly. Not sure why this was better, since it was working before when I tried it in the browser. Yeah, exactly, it does, but it helped the test. Okay. So you want us to render the don't redirect to profile. I actually had to get rid of the profile redirections and just load the profile pug directly. Okay, so wherever we're redirecting, someone says we should render the pug directly. Okay. So that should have been it. Like, someone should time this. The amount of time it's taken us to build this versus the amount of time we've spent trying to fix the tests to pass. Now a timeout has occurred. Okay. Let us not have... Where's profile? What calls profile now? Instead of redirecting to profile, I want you to render it. Like that. And let's just make sure that works. Yeah, that still works great. I'm gonna reload this page as well completely. Maybe it's caching data. Are you serious? Now I got a not found. Profile should no longer work after logout. What happens if you log out? You go to profile. You get a not found. Oh, because profiles... This is so dumb. I can't wait for them to actually update freecode camp. They've literally got all the fixes that they need. It's just been 3 years since they updated. So now everything but the login works. I can't believe there are so many different conflicting things and how people have done to just trick the system into working. Still wasn't passing the test, ended up giving up. Trying Firefox instead of Google Chrome and worked right away. Well, we're using Firefox, it's not working. Refresh the test page, thanks, this worked for me. First clear your database, then set delay, only on login. If that doesn't work, clear database, set delay. How would you set a delay? Wow. Okay, here's an issue. The further you go into the curriculum, the more out of date it becomes. I can't seem to get your code as it's many months late, but this might help others Googling the problem too. If you're getting an error, that's not the issue. We've already fixed that. Adding some delays to my responses, the probability to pass the test increased a lot. Are you serious? Enable delays? Set timeout. Apparently the tests are not waiting for the server to respond, and that causes them to fail, since they depend on each other. This is like so stupid. But okay, we'll do it. So we're gonna have to add enable delays to true in our env file. So if you go to logout, there'll be a timeout. If you go to profile, there'll be a timeout. If you go to post, there'll be a timeout. Let me just add this to my file. Enable delays. True. Okay, and then we're gonna have to kill the server for this. We're gonna have to start the server up. And then we're gonna have to delete the user. And then let's make sure it's still working. And let's make sure we can still log in. Yep, it's working, cool. Now, let's see if these delays change anything. Holy shit. Are you serious? What the fuck? Wow. So let's go back to our code where everything was working fine and beautifully and perfect before we had to butcher it to try and get the freaking test to work. Okay, I think this was the last thing we did. And then we can have a switch here. I'm gonna make a comment. This is to fix the broken FCC tests. Wow. Adding delays because they don't wait for the server's response. Are you serious? How did... It's almost as if they wrote these tests and then they didn't even bother doing that themselves. Like, you would think if you write a test, you actually check to see if you pass it, right? Or just they did it in such a convoluted way that no one else would be able to pass it. Anyway, let's make sure we're still passing it now that we've reverted everything. Yeah, there you go. It's just the fact that I wasn't waiting. So I was probably trying to log in before it was registered or something. there was a race condition that was happening, because it needs to register first and then wait, and then it can try to log in, or log out and then log in. We did it. Wow, I'm gonna end things off here because I just I can't deal with this. It's awful. The fact that we had to jump through so many hoops just to get this working. And you know what? Then they can just specify it's a feature, right? They're like, yeah, but you got to debug, you got to solve a problem. Congratulations, that was actually the true test. You see, the test wasn't to actually log in and log out. I mean, that shit's easy, right? We've done it how many times? The true test was to get the test to pass. That was the true test. It was actually like a secret. They wouldn't tell you because obviously then it's too easy. So yeah, we passed. We passed their test. Alright guys, well I'm gonna be done with this for now. I'll continue this. It's gonna probably be a 2-part section. Probably 3 parts if things continue the way that they're going, but I'm just glad that we managed to solve that. It's a good thing the community sticks together and figures things out together. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.